You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
In the early 17th century, Whitehall Banqueting House was the place to go for spectacular and fashionable entertainment. Here, Queen Anne of Denmark and other members of the court performed heavily symbolic interludes for the enjoyment of James I and his followers. Poetry, scenery, music and dancing combined to create a fantastic spectacle designed to impress the greatness of the king's taste and power on the audience. But though the masks projected an image of divine blessing and harmonious rule, behind the scenes was a vicious culture of professional jealousy and ugly one-upmanship. When court masks first began to take off at the Jacobean court, the emphasis was on the textual, poetic element. Ben Jonson was the foremost author of these entertainments, and at first his long speeches and elaborate conceits were the central feature, along with the elegant and courtly dancing. His partner in the masks, the architect and designer Inigo Jones, was responsible for costumes and scenery. But as the visual impression of the mask was ephemeral, it was initially considered of secondary importance to the lasting monument of the text. As the years progressed, however, Inigo Jones came into his own. He designed the new banqueting house in 1619, replacing the older one which had burned down. And over the years, his contributions to the masks started to take precedence. He designed costumes, scenery, and elaborate machines that carried the aristocratic performers onto the stage. Cliffs cracked apart to reveal fairies in a craggy grotto. Scallop shells opened to reveal deities of the sea. By 1632, Jones the architect could say that these shows are nothing else but pictures with light and motion. Ben Jonson didn't take this usurpation lying down. He resented the architect's rise and considered him a lying knave. He wrote a series of vicious poems satirising his opponent's personality. As early as 1612 there were problems in the relationship. Jonson wrote an epigram on the town's honest man, which paints a bitter picture of the architect as a two-faced flatterer and buffoon, described as the town's errantist knave. In 1619, Jonson told Drummond of Hawthornden that when he wanted a word to express the greatest villain in the world, he'd call them an inigo. Through the 1620s, Jonson satirised Jones more and more openly, but the pair continued to work together. In 1624, he wrote Neptune's Triumph for the Return of Albion, in which Inigo Jones appears thinly disguised as an upstart cook who thinks he can teach military tactics and other arts through the ridiculous medium of pies. A master cook! Why, he is the man of men for a professor. He designs, he draws, he paints, he carves, he builds, he fortifies, makes citadels of curious fowl and fish. Some he dry ditches, some moats round with broths, mounts marrow bones, cuts 50 angled custards, rears bulwark pies, and for his outer works he raiseth ramparts of immortal crust, and teaches all the tactics at one dinner. Then he knows the influence of the stars upon his meats, and all their seasons tempers qualities and so to fit his relishes and sauces. He's an architect, an engineer, a soldier, a physician, a philosopher, a general mathematician. Matters reached a head in 1631, when a quarrel over whose name should go first on the title page to the masque Love's Triumph Through Callipolis broke out into open hostility, ending their collaboration. Now Jonson penned more invectives, the most famous being an expostulation with Inigo Jones. This is a long and bitter poem, satirising the architect who thinks that the mechanical, physical part of the masque is superior to Jonson's own contribution, the words. Oh, shows, shows, mighty shows, the eloquence of masks, what need of prose or verse or sense to express immortal you? Oh, to make boards speak, there is a task. Painting and carpentry are the soul of masque. Only Jonson's side of things survives. The historical record is skewed towards literature. This tends to make the poet look like the villain, shouting invective at a mute antagonist. But we don't know what Jones was doing to Johnson behind the scenes. Certainly it seems as if the architect finally used his power to eject Johnson from his job at court. Love's Triumph would turn out to be the last masque that Johnson wrote for Whitehall. On one level, the quarrel is an example of ambition and personal animosity between men of large egos in the small and highly charged world of the Jacobean court. At a larger scale, it's an example of the age-old competition between poetry and painting. Not the first, and not the last either.